and we're being so busy and efficient and thinking that that's a really good thing. And it leaves us so consumed and so occupied with the mundane, the day-to-day, surface level stuff that it keeps us from our soul connections, from our sacred self, from just really connecting within. And again, I am convinced that this is intentional by society, the patriarch. Greetings, beautiful woman. Welcome to Starwoven Goddess. I'm Keeraa. I'm super excited that you're here. I'm really grateful for you. So just before we dive in, if you want to follow more of my content, then please head across to Instagram at Starwoven Goddess. Also in the comments below and on Instagram, there is a link for a free 15-minute goddess activation that can support you in your journey of reconnecting within to your goddess self. So please get your copy now. I really benefit you. And yeah, it's just a little gift from me to you. Okay, so let's begin. So if presence is the key to connection, peace, and joy, the very thing that flies in the face of that is not only keeping us away from that, but it's also draining and depleting your energy and your power. Have you guessed what it is yet? It's the thing that women often wear as a badge of honor. It's multitasking. So multitasking is very much in the masculine energy of being productive and doing. And it's quite ironic, actually, that women are more likely and probably more, if you want to say successful, at multitasking than men. So it very much leads women into spending more time in their masculine and more of their energy in their masculine. Whereas feminine energy is much more about flow, intuition, presence, and feminine energy is a lot more cyclical. So in touch with your cycles of the seasons, everything like that, are feeling into what feels right. Now, we each have masculine and feminine energy, regardless of your gender, but often women, just like me, how I used to be, spend a lot more time in our masculine energy. So then the balance is out. And for me, multitasking feels a bit like a trickster energy, actually, to get us out of our feminine flow. And, it's like a badge of honor, an achievement. We're quite proud of it. Look how efficient I am. And really, it is a disconnection from who we truly are and the energy that we should lead in and how we should be naturally. So multitasking, as we know, is doing several things at once. And by the very nature of that, not only is your focus and your mind going to be scattered and fragmented because you're not focusing on one thing at a time and enjoying it, also your energy is scattered and fragmented and then energy's leaking, and you might feel, you might have achieved off of your to-do list, but you're depleted, you're drained, you're exhausted. So, is it worth it? How many times this used to happen to me a lot because I used to try to do everything at once. If I was, I don't know, carrying something up the stairs, I'd already have way too much stuff in my hands, and then I might stop to pick something else up or to try and do something else at the same time, which was really not a good idea because I already had my hands full. um, and what would happen, little things like I might stub my toe, or the bag might break that I'm carrying because I've got too much stuff in there. And I used to view that as a little nudge. Well, in the moment, often in the place that I was at before, I would view it as a frustration and get annoyed with it. Now I can reflect back, and sometimes also back then, after like a minute or two, I could then see that it was like a little nudge from the universe, like, slow down, do one thing at a time. Like, what you doing? You're not actually getting anything done faster here. So I like to, yeah, view instances like that as a message. I don't believe that they just happen randomly. So I used to be, like I said, the ultimate person for multitasking, and yeah, very much living in my masculine energy until I experienced the connectiveness, the beauty, the slower pace of being intentional living, um, and being present with everything that I do. It's so much more sacred, and you connect on a much deeper level, whether that be with yourself, with nature, with what you're doing, your creativity, your just your soul, I guess. And even when I'm doing something that isn't my favorite thing to do, and I'm thinking of ironing right now, I very much try to frame that as an opportunity. So I would still be present whilst I'm ironing and connecting with what I'm doing, but I would be viewing it as, I'm so grateful I get to iron these clothes so that I can take pride in my appearance and I can look my best and feel my best, rather than seeing it as like a chore that I have to do. So that can really help if you've got anything where, you're not such a fan of. Just try that and see how you get on. I think you'll be surprised with the mind shift and then the energy shifts as well towards them. And when I first started trying to live in this way of being more present, more connected, slowing down, even though that is actually, a return to the more simple life and simplistic way of being, I find it very, very difficult because of the society that we live in and the way that I was brought up, and conditioning at school, at work, everything like that. So it took me a long time to get it. And even now, sometimes like the other day, I was cooking and I was making some pizzas for dinner that evening. And I was also thought, oh, as I'm cooking, I'm going to make the cottage pie for tomorrow. Because in my head, it was like all under one thing, right? And oh my goodness, it took me twice as long, I think. They're two very different meals, require very different preparation methods. And I felt like I was in the kitchen for about 3 hours. And it wasn't until after I thought I should have just done the pizzas, enjoyed them, moved on to the cottage pie, because it was, I did not gain anything. In fact, I spent twice as long, I'm sure, and I didn't enjoy it because I was like switching between the two. So I guess probably that was actually highlighting to me that because I don't typically live like that anymore, I am focusing on one thing at a time and enjoying that and being present with that. Yeah, I've only just realized that that's probably highlighted it even more why I find it so difficult to go back. It was almost going back to like my previous ways. So that's interesting. And I witness multitasking quite often within my family. So, an example the other day, and this is almost going to probably sound a bit made up because I feel like it's quite extreme, but the fridge, the contents of the fridge were all on the worktop because I think the fridge must have been cleaned, but they were all left on the worktop. There was an orange peeled on another worktop, but not yet eaten. A drink was poured over the other side, but not given. It was for somebody else, but not given to them. The vacuum was just in the middle of the floor, plugged in, right in the way, like trip hazard. The shredder was also plugged in, ready to use. And then this family member sat down at the laptop and started doing something on there. And I was like, you do realise that all this food's on the side here, and you've got a drink over here and an orange over here, like, and now you're doing something else. Oh, I've totally forgot I was doing that. And and yeah, it just goes to show how fragmented we can become by being in that way, in that energy of multitasking. And it can also, yeah, impact us on a much deeper level because if we're constantly doing that, then parts of us are like our energy is fragmenting. I also find this is something that I'm really sort of working on. I find it very difficult and even frustrating, and I really have to find the love and compassion here to have relationships, connections, conversations with people when they're not present. It feels like, they might ask a question, but not even to hear the answer, just to go through the motions. And for me, it feels like a bit of an energetic mismatch because I'm there, fully present, fully involved in this conversation. Maybe whether you're being vulnerable or not, but then that's another dynamic that's there, whether it's a deep conversation or not. And, perhaps not getting the same back. Now, that, I'll be honest, that is something that I really struggle with. Um, sometimes a conversation might be had and you can just tell that they're not following it, but not because they don't understand, because there's something deep or, something they're not familiar with. It's like, no, it's because you checked out at the beginning. Although now I'm saying this, have had examples where I have done this actually. I've got distracted by something that's been said earlier in a conversation, and I'm still focusing on that rather than moving along. So that's interesting. And like I said, this is all a lesson. Like I know there is a lesson here for me to have more grace and compassion and love. And I am working on that. And as we've just discovered, I also find myself in these situations as well. Um, yeah, that's given me something to think about actually. And that's what it's all about. So just to recap then, the energy of multitasking very much is disconnecting us as women from our natural cycles, our natural being, our flow, our intuition, our trust, our creativity. We have the potential to bring life forward. And that I'm not just talking about children here. It could be creative projects as well. And by being disconnected with alignment with who we truly are, it's stopping us and preventing us from doing that. And the real sad thing here is that so many women, including myself in the past, we have tied up our worth and value with what we can achieve and how efficient we are, as if we are on a factory line or a to-do list and just checking things off. And we're being so busy and efficient and thinking that that's a really good thing. And it leaves us so consumed and so occupied with the mundane, the day-to-day, surface level stuff, that it keeps us from our soul connections, from our sacred self, from just really connecting within. And again, I am convinced that this is intentional by society, the patriarch, that this is intentional to keep us in this state, to keep us disconnected and disempowered as women, because we're so powerful. So one of the biggest acts of self-love and connection that you can, and soul connection that you can do for you, is slowing down. Slow down. Live intentionally. Be present. Be fully giving your all to whatever it is that you are doing. So take that time, take that, even if it's just a moment, have your cup of tea outside, take that 5-10 minutes and just enjoy the birds, the smell of nature, the sounds of nature, the flowers, the trees, everything going on, the elements. And don't take that phone, don't scroll, don't be checking your emails at the same time, just enjoy. And it's little things like that, that's where you start off. And if you can build on them, and more of your day becomes a way to connect, that is where the magic lies. And for me, that was a real game changer. But I do understand, like I said, I find it extremely difficult to start with. And what I would suggest, if you feel like that you're drawn to this, then I invite you to choose a task and commit to doing that task totally present. Now, if you find yourself then midway through the task and you're thinking of something else or you've checked something, don't beat yourself up. But that's your intention, that you, because it's going to take some time. Like, this probably is going to be very difficult and very different to how you normally live. So it's going to take some time. But then when we notice that, it's like, oh, okay, leave that phone now. I was actually doing this, and back to it. And the more we can keep doing that, or it might be that you choose a time period. You might say, for 5 or 10 minutes, I'm going to be totally present here. And you might have to start off that small, because it's going to take a while and it's so different to how you've been living potentially. And again, building that up and up and up to the point where you can hopefully really reclaim your divine feminine energy, your flow. Instead of thinking, I've got this to-do list to do and I've got to get everything done on it today, what if you could wake up and be like, oh, what's calling me today? Now, I know that not everybody's lives, the way that they're structured, will allow for this. But what if you could, to some extent? How would that feel? What freedom you would have. Imagine what opportunities could come up. And creative being creative is a really good way to be present. If you're in the midst of, I don't know, painting or crafting something or even cooking, I don't know, depends who you are. But you're probably going to be quite involved in that process and less likely to get distracted or seek alternative, start scrolling or anything like that because you're actually enjoying that moment and you're absorbed into it. Okay, so that was just something I wanted to share with you. Perhaps give it a try if you feel drawn to it. Remember, keep rising, goddess. The world needs your light. Stay true to you. Until next time.